You know what? Let's have a toast, huh?
Hey, it's been 7 years since finding Ohana.
7 years.
This year.
And 3 years of ICAN, right? Isn't that what that is?
And 3 years of ICAN, yeah.
Don't get mad at me. You're supposed to pick it up for me.
Sorry,
That's what I was
forgot.
saying.
I was like, 3 years of what? Oops.
But then when you said what, I'm like, wait, was I wrong? I thought it was 3 years of ICAN, dude.
Sorry.
All right, here we go.
I got something on my mind, but words, they won't do it justice. I could write it on a sign, but words, they won't do it justice. I need a translate.
Yo, what's up? I'm Alex Aiono.
And I'm Lindsay Watson. And this is ICAN Talks. I can, he can't.
I can't. Hey, there you go. You wanted it organic, can't you? Oh, man. All right, we're here. We're talking. It's been a long time since we met. And we met on the movie that kind of started both of our like film and television careers, which is pretty sick. Finding Ohana, if you don't know.
Yeah, Finding Ohana was my first film. Honestly, my first anything theatrical, and
same
pretty
with me.
much the same for you.
It's kind of interesting because we like been friends now, and not only like we hang out. A lot of people are like we're friends, but like we hang out all the time. We do tapes together, everything. Lindsay's one of my best friends. Yeah. But it's funny because like we've been so close since that movie, but we also have such different kind of trajectories on how we got to that movie. To the movie. You know what I mean? And so it'll be fun to kind of break down for what feels like the first time ever, both of those sides.
Yeah, then let's start there. What was your journey before your big Keaulana break?
My big break is Keaulana. I guess as I got into acting, I got into acting for real around that exact time. When I moved to Los Angeles in 2010 to pursue music, which I still do and still make, I liked the idea of acting. Like I've always loved the idea of being like a Justin Timberlake, like a musician who like would get into acting. But I never was really that good, and I never knew if I could be good or anything like that. So when I was with different agencies for music, I would have like acting agents. But it wasn't until 2019, the very beginning of that, when I switched from one agency to another agency. And my agent at the time, Peter DeSantis, shout outs Pete, said, I really think that you can be an actor, and I think you got to just really try it, and I'll show you how to do it. And the third audition I did was Finding Ohana. So that's kind of like the quick version of mine. What's yours?
Honestly,
the journey here.
Same kind of. I'd had a little bit of the superstar overnight sort of situation because I was in LA. I was born and raised in Maui, and then right after high school, I moved to LA. Just got into commercials like you're supposed to. Did commercials, did modeling, did print work for like, 5 years. And then I had that wake up moment of, I didn't move to LA away from my family just to do commercials, though I love them and they're very entertaining. And kind of that same idea when I really shifted and focused that next year, I think Finding Ohana was like my second or third in that focus moment. And it was insane to book that. So I went from literally just doing commercials to the lead of a Netflix feature.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wait, I got a question because as I just said, I kind of got into acting in this weird way. But you said as you got into acting, you went commercial as you're supposed to, is what you said. Yeah. What does that mean? Because I don't know what that means, and I think this podcast is supposed to teach people what you're supposed to do. So
me, and I guess everybody's experience is different. But I mean, I started in theater when I was in Hawaii. And that was, I did enjoy it, but it was also more for the fact that in Hawaii, there's just, at that time, there was almost no opportunities in film and television. A lot has changed since then. But back then, that's all I could find. And so when I moved to LA, the simple steps that I'm taught is that you get a commercial agent and you start auditioning for that. It's just a bit, there's less hurdles to jump over to get into the commercial world. A lot of it's based on looks, reactions, product placement.
Yeah, I've seen you. You've done a couple of auditions at my house because I've never done a commercial audition. I'd actually like to because apparently they make some good money. But I've heard you do them, and you got to do like hand things. There's like secret like initiation hand signals and everything.
If you've never done commercial work, you've never truly had the actor experience, because they have you do the most insane things. I could write books. The amount of insane commercial auditions I've done.
Give me the most insane one off the top of your head.
Well, I mean, this one is just the one that sticks with me always. It was during the time when the VR goggles really started to take off.
Oh, nice.
We all had to go and pretend like we were the Hulk, and they had just like those science clear goggles that you had to put on, and we all had to literally jump around this room like we were the Hulk and pretend we were picking up a car and throw it. And just as a really respectful little Hawaiian girl, and going into the room and pretending to be the Hulk
and that was back when when you were in person?
Oh, yeah,
that was
in
an
person
audition.
So
you're self-tape, I feel like you got a little more safety to be crazy.
You're right inside a very thin walled room. So everyone's sitting outside listening to this. Straight face, you have to just pretend like this is completely normal. And that's what we do.
That's a very funny thing to say. And I have a weird transition for that. But the thin walls in an audition room are very funny, because one of the few auditions that I booked in person was Finding Ohana. Because shortly after that, COVID came, right? And so I didn't get any auditions really in person. Some here or there. There's some beeping going on. It's okay. But yeah, shortly after I started acting, we went to self-tapes pretty much only. And so I remember when we did the chem reads in that office, the walls were thin enough that I could hear, shout outs to my boy. I'm going to call him out by name because he's a very talented dude, Keaulana Epstein, who is a very talented actor who I just barely beat him out for Keaulana. But I remember he went first, and I sat in the waiting room, and the walls were thin enough, and I heard him do, it's like the yelling scene when we were in the cave, and it was like, you whatever, da, da, da. And then you yell at me. And I remember him going hard, and I heard it, and his yell, I was just like, damn, like I don't act. Like at this point, I'd never booked anything. I'd never acted. I remember I did that audition. We went and watched Avengers that night. The Avengers finale movie came out the night of our chem read. And I remember driving from the audition to the movie theater, and I saw a billboard for a show that Keaulana was on Netflix at the time. And I was like, there's no chance I'm getting this movie. This movie's on Netflix, and the dude's on a show on Netflix. So
but that's
shout out to Keaulana.
Interesting to me, because then how did you prep as a non-actor for a role like that? Like, I know me, I've been training, though I had not been on any film sets. I had done commercials, and being on a commercial set really makes you familiar with the world of acting. And then I've been training religiously for years. So I knew like how to prep it. Like, it's so, what did you do? What did you genuinely do?
Well, shout outs to Jude Wang, because as you remember, Jude was like, one, she was super patient. Two, it was like me and Kea, we were both kind of on this journey together, but she had the excuse of being like 11 years old. And I was just this like adult being like, yeah, I'll take what she's having, pizza in Thailand. Yeah. And so, yeah, I just remember just remember being like, shut up, which is hard for me to do, and listen, also sometimes hard for me to do. But I did them both really hard. And Jude was so good about those like note cards and kind of identifying where you were before, what you want, where you're going after, all of those kind of like things that, you've told me you teach with the ICAN, like all those, it's like the things that you got to learn to be, the bones.
So what you're saying is you just memorize the words.
Yeah, just memorize the words. There's a couple times that was just all that, and there's still now, sometimes that's all you can do. But yeah, I think that like, sometimes you just got to go for it.
That's true. Let's talk about that. I think what makes us such great friends is we have this yin and yang thing, is like, I'm the overthinker, overprepared. You're the like, just go for it on a whim. And you're super quick about things. What do you think are like pros and cons of that when it comes to acting?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's pros and cons to everything, right? Like, I know there's a ton of downfalls. I remember specifically, and this is what made me actually become a little bit more of a preparation guy with acting, is while we were filming Finding Ohana, there's that scene where we were we're sitting on the rock and like the waterfalls, and I'm like, you should take that. You should take it. The scholarship or whatever. Yes. And I remember Jude coming up afterwards and being like, you're not locked in. Like, you didn't do that work that you've been doing for all the other scenes. You didn't do it at this scene. And I just remember being so embarrassed because we were on this $25 million, $30 million movie set with hundreds of people around, and like she was totally right. Like I just phoned in something that I wasn't even good at doing. It's not like I was like, like Tom Hardy and then I phoned it in, so it's just like a great performance. But it was like, luckily ADR, I remember ADR saved that scene. But that's one of the biggest things I'd say is a con. I mean, the pros are obviously you're in the moment, and I think, like you said, we're yin and yang. So I have a feeling that when I turn the question around and I say, what are the downfalls to being over prepared or to prepping too much or just prepping a lot? Like, what are the downfalls is one of the best things I get to enjoy is everything's fresh. I don't know right now. I don't know anything that we're supposed to do. Sorry, Ange. I'm here and I'm locked, but like, I didn't do the preparation for this stuff. Cause I like that stuff. And I think that, again, that's why we work well together, is because you've always, whether it's birthday parties or it's like pickleball on Sundays or barbecues at the house, like you're always the one that's like prepping for all of us. And so I think like it's nice getting to not only enjoy something that I'm not in you, but also get to know that like I also bring something by being like, or we try something brand new now.
Well, and I think that's kind of what has been so helpful with us maintaining not just like the friendship, but being able to actually keep working together, doing tapes together. I think I've watched so many actors and they all have such different process. And again, I'm like the really learn your material, know it as much word perfect, know the entire beats and the flow of it. But then I watch you, who definitely has more of a flow to it and just this instincts of just picking up the page and going for it. I feel like we learn from each other to be like, for me, I definitely could relax and just like let it go. Cause then I see when we do tapes and we just have fun with it and we just throw it against the wall sometimes, we find some really cool things.
We really do.
Whereas like sometimes, and on the flip side, we've had the awful part of like when it's not prepared, we miss a lot of those key moments in there. Yeah. But I think
I like to say those ones were just not for me.
Oh yeah. No,
those ones were just not my way. Okay, so kind of we've talked about like the switch over for me with like music to acting, but you recently did a switch, which is so sick, and I've now seen this movie like what feels like 1,000 times. But you recently made the switch over. I guess you didn't switch, you just kind of added on. But from just being an actor to writing and directing, two things that I know since we first met, you told me you were either wanting to get into or in the process of doing. Now you've done that with What We Carry, and you just kind of, I don't know if you finished it. It feels like you've been on the road for like 13 years prepping
it's a never-ending journey.
I guess promoting this movie. But how was that transition? Because I'm sure we'll finish off with just finding Ohana memories, but I want to make sure we get to like the meat of the shit that like, the stuff we're doing. The stuff that we're doing. And a lot of that being like, you're now adding on being a producer and a writer and a director. But when I first met you, those were like kind of dreams at the moment. And so how has that transition been? What is it like? Are you excited? Are some of those things as good as you thought they'd be, better, worse?
It was oddly easier than I thought it was going to be, which is what makes me know that that's what I want to do. I will say, if I have to rank it, it's like acting, directing, writing. I merely write out of necessity to direct. I would prefer someone bring a script to me and I just have to direct it and possibly act in it. But the transition was really nice, because what I struggled with, and one of the major motivations to get into directing and filmmaking was in the acting side, and I'm sure you can relate to this, like especially being Polynesian, we were always kind of just being put in a box and the same auditions and the same idea, and they really only could envision us in a certain area. And I was just over that, because I knew I had the capabilities to go beyond that, to audition for these other roles that I'm like, yeah, it's not a Polynesian girl, but I feel like I could walk into that room and kill it. So I was like, you know what, if I ever get the opportunity to write and direct, I'm going to do that and start to expand the stories that we as Polynesians can tell, because we all know the bit of like lack of control we have. We don't have the control to make casting choose us and see us as just the doctor on Grey's Anatomy or the Pit or something like that. It's like, so being the writer, I was able to just take that narrative where I wanted to go, talk about topics I think is important, and then taking it to the next level, being the director, I got to choose the faces that tell that story. And it was very intentional to have Polynesian faces. That I wanted Michael, my lead actor, that is like a big burly Polynesian man with tattoos, you know? And he just plays the soft, sensitive husband, and I wanted the world to be able to see that.
Well, because us buff guys.
Yeah, right. You understand.
Us really buff guys kind of understand that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of guys like us, they look around, people will walk in a room, and it's like, oh,
everyone just
look at this guy. What is he?
How
What is
do
he?
you
A
fit through the door?
bodybuilder? What is he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, did they open up the
know.
garage? Like,
I know.
and so I get that.
I'm
And so I
writing
appreciate.
for people
Honestly,
like you.
I've never said this to you, but on
Yeah.
this podcast now, I want to tell you, I feel seen from your movie because there's just a huge, buff, handsome.
That's all I really was
just
writing for.
Sweet, kind, misunderstood. I'd also add misunderstood guy that
we
really
came full circle for people to understand that.
and
what
it's
we
different
carried
for and
was
it's different for
Alex Aiono,
everybody. It's
everyone.
different for everybody, but I understand. I feel seen. I'm just letting you know
Good.
that.
And that's like I said, back to the actual point. It was for
I had to.
the Polynesians to be able to kind of start to break free. So I plan to keep doing that, and I want to keep directing. I want to keep acting. I will write if I need to. It's funny because I have so many ideas, but I just hate putting pen to paper. So if anyone wants to just like write the things, if you just want to sit there and I tell you the whole story and all the characters and you just write it for me, I'm looking for you. Come find me.
Yeah.
And then I want to flip it on you. Being a musician, actor, what other hyphenates do you want to add to your list, or do you? Actor, director, writer?
It's interesting because I just
Dancer?
feel like I've always liked dancer. I've always liked the idea that like I'll do the things that I feel like I can do. You know, like I feel like the
What
things.
does that mean?
I guess more so like I'll do the things that I've been focusing on. You know, like there's been like a huge wave from like, COVID era to now, and I think it's great, but it's like everybody's trying to, every actor you talk to is like, well, I really want to direct. And I think there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm in the middle. So I'm going to just officially go, if it happens,
Right.
sure. But like, I'm going to stop because I started telling them, like, I'd like to direct. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, I feel like I'm not doing anything toward, like, I'm not moving any closer
Yeah.
towards being a
I will
director.
say,
So I'm going to stick to acting.
Until you actually do it, you won't know. I will say that's a huge thing because
You're talking like you're having a baby. You're just like, you
Yeah,
never
you
know
never
you're
know
ready
until
until it's time.
no, but it's the truth of I've met other directors and I've chatted with them that they got on set and one either realized they loved it or they hated it.
Yeah.
And because it's a lot. You're the head of the set. Everyone's looking to you. And if you enjoy that, it's thrilling. It's really exciting, and you get to really help the team shape the narrative. If you hate everyone looking to you for the answers, it's the worst thing ever. So I always just think it's interesting once you actually get there, but that's one of the hardest things in our industry. The opportunities to actually direct something,
Yeah.
to actually produce something, it's very rare. I mean, that's what ICAN's kind of trying to do, which is why I really appreciate getting to go back home and be in these programs and see kind of on the ground in Hawaii these new and or if they've been around for a long time in the industry, getting a chance to actually see what it's like, talking to these actual producers, directors, writers, and getting real-time knowledge of what it's actually like. Because going through the process, I realized I will never produce. I just not for me. I don't know how people do it. Angie's like built to be a producer, and I look at her and I'm like, I want producers like that for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
but I could never do it myself. I'll write, I'll direct, I'll act, but don't ever call me for genuinely being like a producer, because it's a lot.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
It's good to know because
You would not like it.
probably not. Probably not. You want to know why? It's because I like flowing, and to be a producer,
Yeah.
you can't flow.
Yeah.
To be a producer, you got to text me 13 times by this time to make sure I'm here by this time.
Let's
You know
not
what I
go
mean?
there.
I'm just kidding. I'm very
Here,
on time.
your flow, which let's talk about music. What are your kind of, I guess you could call it pros or cons, or what do you love about acting versus music, and maybe the parts you don't love so much?
Yeah, I'd say when I transitioned from music to acting, I realized that like I'd spent my whole life trying to just be like the most me I could ever be. And then I started acting, and I realized that like I just got to be somebody else. And
Yeah.
it's hard to be somebody else.
Yeah.
But it's not hard. I guess it's scary to try to be somebody else, but it's not hard to try to be somebody else.
Right.
And we've done, you'll know more than anybody, it feels like a million auditions.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not booked most of those. I've booked about 4 or 5 of those, to be honest. But I've always tried, you know? And so I think what was nice about transitioning from music to acting was that, like, it's really scary to be yourself. Like, I'm actually having a harder time right now trying to be myself the most than being whatever character it is on whatever day we're doing the audition together. Absolutely. And so I think when I transitioned to acting, it was harder because the skill, but it was easier because the thing that I feel like makes an actor feel real, or whatever is going on, the thing that I think makes you feel real, like I know how to do that with me. Right. So I just have to figure out who it is with that person, right? And so whenever I've done a good job acting, it's because I've done that well, and whenever I've done a bad job acting, I didn't do it that well, you know. But it's because I haven't, you know what it is? It's because I haven't had a really good coach. And that's something that you do with ICAN, right? Is you find yourself traveling back. You coach me all the time, but I'm so used to that. It's become this kind of like constant droning sound in my head that I'm just not enough. And I hope you treat these kids, I hope you treat these children differently.
We have a different relationship.
But it's cool to me though, because like you said, and with what we carry, I feel like what you do at ICAN especially, and the message that you continue to spread, is like, it doesn't have to be anything, and this is in the best way possible. This could mean like have nothing to do with the islands. This could have nothing to do with Hawaiian culture. It could have nothing to do with Polynesian culture. It could just be a story that happened to happen on the West Side. It could just be a story that happened to happen, you know, in town or where, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be this like crazy thing. And I think as an actor, the actor version of it is like, you don't have to do anything. There's nothing you have to automatically be before you start. And that's kind of where we always start from in like the coaching. So all jokes aside with the meanness, because you're only sometimes mean to me.
It's all out of love.
How do you translate that to these kids, teens, adults, just people who want to get into acting and are trying to maybe shed that? Because I think, at least for me, like, I remember when I first auditioned for Finding Ohana, like my first audition, like I'm glad that they got me to the second round, because I remember my first audition, like,
I feel like we never even
I didn't have like, I think back to it at least, and I was like, I remember like by the second time around, I was like, oh, I got to do something, because I was working with a coach every single time. And
but I do remember, again, the chemistry read, and this is a big thing about acting and understanding casting, and just also helping you have some peace as an actor long term, is that sometimes someone's just right for the role, even if they might not be the strongest actor, the most experienced actor in the room. They're just right for the role. And like, again, for you, when you walked in, I read the role, I saw it on paper, I envisioned something, and you walked in and you embodied it immediately. You know, the other actors were very talented. Same thing for Keia. It's like the other actors were so talented, and they came in and they did great work. But when Keia came in, when you came in, you saw the story just come off the page. And that's, to me, what we do as actors. And I've learned through my time in classes and just being on sets that, again, you'll see so many versions of the same story, the same script, but every actor brings it to life in a different way. So in class, it's really kind of just seeing what that actor can bring to it and trying to bring their best foot forward. It's not easy. The biggest thing about acting that people struggle with is the true connection to emotion, because as humans, we most times don't want to do that. It's easier to push down our emotions, to not connect to them, to protect ourselves. But as actors, you're quite literally paid to let those floodgates open and feel all of it. And it's awful and exhausting. When I did The Wind and the Reckoning, and it was just such a heavy subject matter, and my character had to feel the weight of the world on her shoulder, her family dying, and knowing she was going to be left alone. Like, as an actor, that's my job, to fully feel that. And I sat in that heavy, to the point where I see why acting can kind of get to you, like mess people up in the head, because I allowed it to, because we were also shooting for such a short amount of time. I needed to stay there because I know you felt like what it feels like to get into that deep place and then come out of it and get back in there. It's exhausting.
Y'all also had to do a pretty crazy filming, like the style that you guys filmed that. Didn't y'all film that on like you were all like quarantined on like a farm or some shit?
That was some COVID shooting, primetime COVID. And we were all on one property, shooting on one property, living there, everything for 16 days. It was just nonstop. And so, like I said, as an actor, I mean, it was the greatest experience ever, and getting to shoot in Hawaii and doing a film in Olelo, Hawaii, which at the time was the first. Yeah. So it was truly the experience of all time as an actor, and getting to play a role like that. But like I said, it's exhausting, and being able to maintain that level of emotion, it's hard for actors. So my job as a coach most of the time is being able to break down those walls slowly, because every person's different. Some people have access to emotions immediately, and I think that's why some people might think they're more innately stronger as an actor, because you just have that quick connection, but others don't. And sometimes it's due to trauma or just how you were raised. So it takes time to undo those walls. But once those are undone, that's where the true moments happen. Yeah. So
I feel like that's like the funniest thing I learned as an actor, is really truly how like you really can do it. If you work hard, you really can. There's no difference. And you can do it. And I don't know if this is going to come out right, but you can do it.
Let's hope.
No, like you can do it if you're a really bad actor. Yeah. And you can do it if you're a really great actor. Because I've seen actors that I don't think are that great work a ton, and I've seen actors I think are great. I don't think I'm that great of an actor, and I love my career. Like I've had a great career. I'm so proud of that. But like I know that I love making, like music is the thing. You know me, you see me every day. Like that's what I'm locked in on right now, and I still audition, I still go hard. Shout outs to guys like Connor Price who do that, and like guys like and Keaulana who really can balance those two things out well, and kind of jump back and forth. Spencer Sutherland's another one. But
talk a little bit about your music and where you're at right now, and like how that's kind of just reflecting who you've grown into be.
Man, I feel like I'm more like, it's the opposite right now. I've been going through, as you know, a crazy transitional period in my life, the last, like, let's call it 18 months. And through that time, I've kind of just let my idea of what my whole life is going to look like go. And so now I'm at this place where I'm really just like figuring it out. You know, I've lived a life that I'm super stoked about, and I love kind of sharing that. So now I'm at a place where I just met this dude, Isaac, who, have you met Isaac yet?
No.
Okay. You're going to meet Isaac, but Isaac, shout out to my boy, Isaac Flynn. Shout out to Hembry Music. And we've just been telling the truth. And now it's kind of, you know, I'm wanting to use my music in more of the way that the world moves right now. So it's a song I just wrote 2 months ago, just came out on Friday, Say It Back, right? The song that we wrote right after that is going to come after that, and after that, and after that. And so I'm just stoked about kind of redesigning what I want my whole life to look like. Like music, acting, that stuff's great, but like my real life, my friends, my family, you know, all of that. And so I'm stoked about that. What about you?
Are you gonna go on tour?
I'm definitely gonna play shows. I don't know about tour. Touring's hard. Touring's like, and because this is a podcast for our people, like it's not impossible, but it is hard. And you gotta work at it, and you also gotta be patient with people who are working at it. Yeah. Because they're working at it, I promise. But only because we're running out of time, I gotta ask you the same thing. What's up? What's next? What's going on?
I want to stick to, obviously acting will always be there, but directing is definitely something that I find a lot of joy in. And unfortunately, it's not as easy. I mean, I don't want to say easy, but you know, we all know what the access is like in our industry. So like acting, as we say, we can audition for one random thing and overnight be on Finding Ohana. Netflix, you know, whereas directing, it's a bit of a longer process. So I'm going to be juggling both, but ideally I want to do the feature length of what we carry. So that's something sick. That I'm writing, and will hopefully, you know, if you just have money and you just want to, you know, make an awesome movie for, you know, Polynesians and support happy. You
just want to be a good person in general.
But yeah, that's really the long-term hope is that. And then, you know, maybe with Alex's guidance one day, I might actually sing something one day.
I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
Still working on it.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's have a toast. How about that?
A toast.
To close it out.
7 years since finding Ohana.
Yeah. 3 years of ICAN.
3 years of ICAN.
All right. Cheers.
cheers to
Hey,
that.
thanks for watching this ICAN Talks.
Thanks for talking.